Hi there, YouTube. Welcome to the Stratosphere Studio. I'm Bill Whittle. Let's grab our friends over on Twitch here. Hi, Twitch. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Stratosphere Studio. I'm your host, Bill Whittle. It's Tuesday night show. I was busy last night. I'll tell you about that in a second. And got some new stuff to show. I'm feeling really pretty good actually, and so it's always nice. Let's see here. I'm gonna move just a little bit. That's a little better. Thanks. Um, Hi everybody. It was a real good day yesterday. Audio's a bit low. Okay, hang on. That's about all I can get out of YouTube. So hopefully that'll do it. I don't want to over modulate the thing. Um, let's see. Well, good here. I think we're looking good. Um, yeah, it looks all right. All right. So what it is, what it is. Which is the internet. Um, it's an internet show. Guess there is no Monday show. This is the Monday show. Um, so yes, I had to reschedule for reasons. Yeah, thank you. I keep. I don't know why this. I got to turn off the ads on YouTube. Thank you very much. Hang on a second. That's frustrating. I do that here. I think. Hang on. Got it. Thanks for the heads up. Everything back. Yes. All right. Yeah, normally I wait. But yeah, today's a Tuesday that identifies as a Monday. I don't want to get into too many details because it's. But basically, yesterday I was invited actually to go and talk to a conservative donor, and I went down and pitched the colonies, and um, and I think it went really well. You never know how these things are going to go, but I thought it went really well. Um, so uh, the plan would be to to get some money, a little bit of money, and use that money to prepare the crowdsourcing. So the plan would be I showed him the YouTube music video and I showed him the cockpit reentry video, which I'll show you guys in a minute. So I showed him two things and talked an awful lot about the need and how the pop culture has lost the role models of Luke Skywalker and Captain Kirk. I talked about how important that was. I talked about how important it was to young males, young white heterosexual males who don't hold any victims cards. Um, I made the case for the fact that we need to present an image of the future, and I talked a lot about the idea that hardship is necessary for real close connections. Which he grew up rather poor, so he actually was talking about hardship himself. And I don't want to say any more about that particular meeting other than to say I thought it went very well. Um, in any event, if this does come through, and if it doesn't, I'll go talk to some other people. But if this does come through, what it would do is it would provide enough money for me to put together the crowdsource materials. That would be and the crowdsourcing would be to write would be I'm trying to keep the scale small so that so that these are achievable steps. What we would be using the crowdsourcing for would be to do the pilot episode, right? Not a whole season because that's a bigger hunk of money. Just a pilot episode, and I think that number is probably in the mid to upper six figures five, 600, $700,000 or something to do a pilot episode. Um, Maybe less. I don't know. And what I would need for the crowdsourcing would be five little 4 or 5 minute scenes. There'd be a scene of the pioneers. There'd be a scene from the space combat, the naval combat stuff. There'd be a scene from the free traders, the merchant traders, where they're going through the Stargate. There'd be a scene of the founders, and there'd be a scene of the explorers. And so I've got enough on the pioneers after the thing I did with the YouTube song, and all of this is AI, 100% AI. Actually, that's not true. It is going to be integrating AI and CGI, because until AI gets its act together, I just went and FN Geek. I went and pitched the colonies, and I went after enough money to do the crowdsourcing campaign. So we'll see, but in the grand scheme of things, it wasn't a huge number, and so in order to have a successful crowdsourcing thing, there's a bunch of things that you need. You need a great sizzle reel, which is where most of the money would go. So 5 scenes, one following each of the storylines, which are actual scenes with people talking to each other, dramatic scenes. I know exactly what scenes to do. I've got the stuff written, outlined, and ready to go. And then, so that would be the bulk of it. All of these tests, like the one I did on the colonies with the, with the guys drinking and the kids playing and stuff, we can add all of that. The second thing you need for a successful crowdsourcer, I think the most important thing is to keep the cost low, is to make a low number that is an achievable number. If I was going after $20 million, just no way it would happen. But my friends Phelan McAleer and Ann McKinnery raised money 7, 8, 10 years ago for a film called Gosnell, which was about an abortionist in Philadelphia, and they raised about $2.3 million. I'm asking for considerably less than that to do a pilot, and the other thing that matters is so low cost helps. Interesting content is really important. You got to look like that it's something that you want to see. The marketing promotion is a full-time job for 6 weeks. Let's say it's a 6-week run to get the money up there, and that means just full-time promotion, calling in whatever, calling in hard. Things like Greg Gutfeld and Mark Levin and Glenn Beck and guys that I know. One of the most important things in the crowdsourcing thing, in order for it to be successful, is credibility. And I'm in actually pretty good shape as far as that goes. Not only do I have a fair amount of experience with writing, and the sizzle reels speak for themselves as far as directing goes, but I can also get on camera. I can get on camera endorsements from Gary Sinise and John Voight and Mike Rowe and James Woods, all saying, "Hey, this guy's awesome. We really think it's gonna be a great project. And we can't wait to be a part of it." So, yeah, I am using 11 Labs for some of the voices. So I think I got the credibility down, and certainly having celebrities doing endorsements is really going to help. Yeah, I've got a bunch of other characters, and I'm working away from the pioneers. I've been working on the pioneers ever since I started with the AI stuff 2 months ago, and you'll see some different stuff tonight. But I have all the scenes and so on. I was talking with this guy last night, and I was trying to say what would make people leave Earth to go to these hellishly cold or hellishly hot or vacuum planets or whatever. What drives people? Because the whole thing about the colonies is basically telling the founding of America 250 years in the future. So what would get people to leave England? Unless you were living in London, living in England wasn't too terribly bad in the 1770s. A lot worse places than that. Why would you get on a boat? Hope you survive the trip across the ocean. Hope you survive the Indians. Hope there's food there. Why would you do that? And what I decided to do was to make. I wasn't. There's a lot of tropes that I'm trying to avoid. One of them is, the rich versus the poor. I'm just not playing that Elysium game. I'm certainly not playing the Earth is dying game. The Earth is fabulous. The Earth looks incredible. Air is clean. Water is clean. It's beautiful. And I just decided that what I was going to do was make life on Earth so regulated and so bureaucratized that for certain people it becomes unbearable. So I came up with the idea of hereditary bureaucrats. This person being the fourth, central district manager for electricity, and I know how to set that up. Give you an idea though of this Earth government, which I haven't had too much time to really talk about, but I have been putting a lot of mental work into it. I tried to think of the most evil name I could come up with in terms of just really making you want to leave. And the United States still exists as a postal address 250 years from now. But, and I'm not even 100% sure about that, but I suspect so. And so, there's the Earth Empire or the United Earth Empire or the Empire of this or the Federation of that or whatever. And I just decided, nope, the government that these guys are rebelling against, they call it NACAD, NACAD, and that stands for the North American Central Administrative District. Isn't that awesome? The North American Central Administrative District. That's the government, and they don't have a navy. They have compliance forces. Compliance. It's NACAD compliance, and it's like so horrible, the North American Central Administrative District, and it's all a bureaucracy. And what it really is it's a look at the World Economic Forum future, where the USA still exists, but basically what it comes down to is it's going to be a world where nobody owns anything and nobody's happy, but everything's going to be social credit score and all of this, and there's going to be people that just can't tolerate it. And Jake is one of these guys. He just won't do it. This introductory scene for Jake, it won't be the scene that'll be in the sizzle reel, but it will be in the pilot episode. First time you meet him, he's at like a convenience store or something. He's trying to buy some alcohol or some beer or something, and he's got the money, and the sale doesn't go through, and it doesn't go through because his credit score his social credit score isn't good enough, and this pisses him off quite a bit. And then he says, is there anything he can do? And the guy says, well, you can go over and vote. That'll help. So there's like a corner in the corner of a machine that looks like like one of those video poker machines or something that you see in Vegas, in the airports and in all the restaurants. And he walks over there, and there's this big screen, and it's like, would you like to vote? And he's like, yes. Voice print identification, or your eye, or whatever, thumbprint, whatever, identifies him. And then it says, how would you rate the job that District Coordinator Joanna Smithson is doing on crime? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and he hits the 5, and his social credit score goes up a little bit. He keeps approving all these people, and it bugs the living piss out of him. But he's just going to play the game. Just approve of 5 stars, 5 stars, 5 stars, 5 stars, and his social credit score just goes up every time he votes. That all the bureaucrats are doing a great job, even though they're clearly not. Then he finally gets enough credit score to go and buy his beer or whatever the case may be, and it's like I'm just not going to tolerate this anymore. But the thing that knocks him off the edge is when his when his daughter's nearly raped at a nightclub and she's hanging out with the wrong crowd, and he just says, "We're getting out of here." Um, so anyway, so I got all of that, and I'm working on. I've really been doing nothing but the homesteaders since I started working with the AI. So now I'm starting to branch out and get to the other 5 storylines. So we have a homesteader pioneer storyline. We got a founders storyline. I've got the first meeting of the founders worked out, which is pretty cool. Um, they all fly their kind of private spacecraft to this island, and they have a, you know, tremendous security team there, so that nobody can listen in. And these guys have paid for a probe to go and check out uh, a solar system, um, and and they're sitting there, and they say, "We've got a report back, and we released this report, this morning, and here's the summary of what the probe to the system found." The largest telescopes they had showed that there was a planet that looked good in the habitable zone. It had a right color and a couple little splotchy markings. And they revealed that it was a planet that had a blue methane atmosphere like Neptune, and it was, completely unlivable, and and the other planets in the system were nondescript, rocky worlds and like a Mars kind of thing, and they're saying, and so the whole thing is like, we really thought we might have had something here, but turns out it was just kind of a wash, really not much there. And that's the private probe that they sent to go check out the solar system. And they say, so this is what went out over the lines today. And everybody looks at it, and then the guy who's conducting the meeting says, but here's what we actually found. And it's a water world. It's a jewel. It's this just this absolutely gorgeous second Earth, by far the most Earth-like planet that they've ever found, and they knew it, and so they had to go out there and say, no, it's junk. There's really nothing there. But this system and the ones around it, because I've done the actual work. I spent a lot of work on the real star map. And there's this one place where there are a number of other systems that are within 2 light years of each other. So it's like, if you can get there, everything else is relatively quick. And so the founders are saying, this is where we're going. This is where we're going. So I got all this stuff all worked out and put it all together in the sizzle reel. So I got 2 things to show you here. I showed one of them on Thursday night, which is the re-entry of the atmosphere thing, which I think is really good. I really, really love it. And then I've got something brand new that I haven't even announced or any of it. So I'll tell you about the first one a little bit, because the whole planet looks like the Bahamas. I mean, it's all turquoise water, and it's fabulous. So I'm going to show you 2 things here. I'm going to show them back to back. The first one is called A Bumpy Ride Home. These are shorts that I've been doing, like 2 Futures was the one about the Earth celebrations versus the celebrations out on one of the colony worlds. And I'll change the music so that I can play that on YouTube, because right now I've got Streets Have No Name by YouTube underneath, by the U2 underneath it, and so on. But the first thing I want to play, like I say, I want to play them both together. Is it's called A Bumpy Ride Home. And some people had some confusion about this, including the guy I showed it to last night, who was absolutely just blown away by it. It's my favorite thing. It's my favorite thing. What it consists of is probably 25 or 30 shots of different vehicles returning from space to Earth. And a number of people looked at it and said, gee, how come the AI can't keep it consistent between? And I should have made it clear, and I'm making it clear to you guys now. I intentionally wanted every single one of these cabin crews to be different. They're not supposed to be the same crew. They're all intentionally different. They're all experiencing the same weather conditions. And I've been in heavy turbulence, and I've been in heavy turbulence in instrument conditions, and the thing to really concentrate on is, number one, does it look theatrical? Does this look like a real movie? And the second thing is, look at the faces of the pilots, because there's an expression that you get as a pilot when you are in um, challenging conditions. You kind of want to be afraid, but you won't let yourself be afraid. So you just focused. You're really, really focused. And I'm just completely blown away by how well uh, I mean, I said the pilots look nervous and alert, and I can't believe how good it is. So, first thing you're going to see is going to be just a. I wanted to get away from the colony. I wanted to get in space. I wanted to show what the space flight would look like. And you'll notice that some of these ships are ancient pieces of junk, and some of them are brand spanking new. Um, and all of the pilots are going through the same experience. And then the second one I'm going to play immediately afterwards, and I'm not going to tell you anything about that. I'm just going to keep that a complete surprise, and we'll look at the comment section. So I'm going to go to the Stratosphere Lounge card. Just give me a second, and I've got them set up, and they should run pretty near simultaneously. Okay, so just give me 1 second here. Just stay tuned. And the second I have both these cards up and everything, the first one will be, again, multiple ship reentries, and I'm not going to talk about the second one. So stand by, and they'll be there in just one little moment. That's you. And hang on, YouTube. You. Lots of people commenting about space whales. They're not space whales. The planet has an atmosphere that's 10 Gs, and I'm sorry, 10 atmospheres, and so the entire planet has relatively low gravity, but when you've got 10 atmospheres worth of pressure, um, they they get very big, and they're filter feeders. So that's not a guy in a rubber suit. So the internet is sick of space whales after Ashkoa. Well, I haven't seen Ashkoa, so let me go look and see what it is that I've apparently ripped off. Those things are actually in space. How do they pull that off? All right, I'm going to have to go back and redesign them. Um, all right. Um, I'll do them differently. I've never seen the show. Um, well, I'm gonna. Where is that? I originally was going to make them kind of like vertical, and so on. Um, no, I'm not doing. I'm not doing space whales. Uh, the thing I liked the most about them was the. I described their tendrils like like silk, like fine silk strands in water, and that fabric-like kind of super thin uh, tendrils. But the thing I was really trying to get a hold of was a sense of that was thalassophobia. I wanted that sense of these things just kind of looming, um, and yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna have to reconstruct them and make them look different because uh, space jellyfish is not what I was looking for, and certainly not space whales. Um, got some ideas on how I can change it around a little bit. Um, I'll concentrate more on gas bags. Actually, probably what would help them, because those whales in the Star Wars thing just look like squids. Um, they yeah, I got to get. I'm not doing space whales, man. I mean, I didn't see it on the Star Wars show, but I've seen them in Star Citizen, and I just think they're just crud, you know. And if there's no, so what's really missing from them is buoyancy. Um, and well, thank you. Here, I'll show you something. Let's see if I can find it. One second. Wayne Barlow wrote a book called is an illustrator, did a book called Expedition, which they turned into a really awful um, sci-fi thing on Sci-Fi Channel, and they took these massive creatures and shot them from above. The original story was they were, that he went to this alien planet. These aliens took him there. They changed that so it was done by a couple of probes. They did that so that they could make the animation easier. But because everything was shot from a high angle looking down, you have these enormous creatures, and they just look like little toys. But I'll show you what I mean about the gas bags and the buoyancy. Hang on a minute. Uh, there they go. Here. Gotta get them in here. This is Douglas Wayne Barlow. But you can see that that's definitely not a space whale, uh, or a space jellyfish for that matter. Um, Hang on a second, YouTube, and grab that and put it in there. Got a buoyancy bag on the top, and um, so it looks uh, it looks. Yeah, I remember I stopped playing Star Citizen in 2017, but when I saw what they were doing with that stuff, I just thought, man, I just think that's so. And these things are just leaving the planet and they're just flying off into space, and it's like, okay, probably be better, to be honest with you, um, uh, to never really show them very clearly. Just have them come out of the murk. There's a couple shots uh, that I really liked about that, and yeah, and there were a couple of those. So it's just rendering a lot of stuff and trying to see what I liked and didn't like, and yeah, they're they're um, they're too jellyfishy. They're they got to look different, and they got to be scary because they're extremely gentle, and I really like that. I saw somebody say, "Boy, the humans sure look calm." That's because the humans were out there on contact teams. They were out there. This is the first. It's not the first life they find. It's the first intelligent life they find. It's yeah, it is a club that it's holding. Um, Expedition is an amazing book. It really is really remarkable. Cannot recommend it highly enough. It's called Expedition by Douglas Wayne Barlow. It's a coffee table book. It's just nothing but illustrations, and uh, so I'll take another stab at the space whales. Uh, it just that that just that um, yeah, we'll just have them fly out in space. And then I just saw a shot of guys in X-wings looking out the window at the giant space whales that are flying out there in space, deep space, one thing in the atmosphere, But okay, whatever. Oh, look, space fighters. Anyway, it is what it is. I did like I said, I like the tendrils and the ribbony kind of things, and I love the bioluminescence. Uh, so, um, what I'll probably do is actually, since all of the renders of these creatures came out where everyone looked different, I thought um, that it would be interesting if this if they got to this planet and they're trying to categorize them because they're zoologists. And I thought, what if wouldn't it be interesting if on this planet with these creatures that no two of them were alike, that they don't have species, there are no species. It's just plain like a random assembly of things that no two of them are alike, and that they're just all different. Copy Shinato says no reproduction. I'm thinking interesting if there isn't. Airteki says they're giant colonies. Yeah, they're like they're a colony organism, like a Portuguese man of war or something, and that they just form different shapes. That would be an interesting challenge for zoologists, for xenozoology, and and these are intelligent, although very alien. And I want to do a second set of aliens that are herbivores, and they are that have uh, that they don't have like any real technology. They have consciousness, and they're really great with mathematics, and they're especially great with music. That they've got the kind of vocal cords that allow them to make any kind of sounds they want to, and their choirs and their singing is just unbelievable. And they look at humans and they're absolutely amazed at the things humans can do, like any kind of a physical thing, like acrobatics or circus acts, anything like that. Are these aliens are just fascinated by all the physical things that we can do. But when we play our music for them, they just try their best not to laugh. That the sounds that they make are so tonal and so rich in harmonics that they are that's basically their language is so mathematical and specialized, uh, and for anybody who ever played Trell, or they had a race called the Kukri, I think, and they were intelligent herbivores. Yeah, they looked a lot too much like cows. So we have space whales and we have space cows, but but the idea of herbivores that have essentially a non-technological civilization where they're really just very simple, and it's all mental. You gotta come up with an emotional, an evolutionary driver for that. But their mathematics are unbelievable, and their language reflects the complexity of their thought because of the mathematics of it. I thought that was a really cool idea, and yeah, a bit like Pearson's puppeteers. The hindmost. Um, and you got to come up with an evolutionary driver for them. But the chance of us finding intelligent life anywhere near us is low, and the chance of us finding technological life that is anywhere near ours is zero. Um, I'm just looking at small traveler stuff. It's Kind of fun. All right, let's go to questions and see what we can get here. And their mathematics skills will help us with some technology and things like that. Yeah, I might play with them a little bit after the show is done. See if I can find something that's. Like I say, I like the thalassophobia thing. I just like the it's just a sense of something ominous, really just ominous out there. And then I've avoided calling them tentacles the whole time. These tendrils just come down, and they're very friendly because they don't have predators. What am I doing? Okay, here we go. This is the kind of thing, by the way. This doesn't happen until second or third season or something. But this is the kind of thing um, that I would really like to open source and outsource. I'd like to have somebody, one or two or three writers that specialize just in, like, for example, in that herbivore species. It'd be great if that's all they thought about, and I'd want people really had a strong musical background and a strong mathematical background, and just make everything that they do come from a perspective of math and music. That what I was saying with them being so fascinated by us being able to, well, first of all, the fact that we travel in space is amazing to them, because the second you get these guys on a 2-foot platform, they start to get nervous, um, and and they have no desire to go flying through the air, and we do, because we're descended from monkeys and apes and and that's why, when you have a quarterback throws a 80-yard bomb, what's happening is in his brain he is able to calculate, a human is able to calculate where the runner is going to be in 4 or 5 seconds. He's able to calculate exactly how much force, how much spin, what angle, how quick a release. And while that ball's in the air, the receiver is judging the velocity, its rate of climb, its peak altitude, its rate of descent, it's slowing down due to air resistance. All of this stuff is happening as he's looking at it, and his feet are taking him to where the ball's going to be. And that is absolutely, absolutely magical to these four-legged herbivores. That kind of calculation of trajectory and physics, and that we just do automatically, is beyond their ability. And what I want is, I want somebody who can write something that can sound and look as magical to us as we do to them. So that's going to take somebody with a real good mathematical background, and that's not me. Let's see what we got here. Thank you, Marusha, for curating these. We got Marusha Dark, Capital G Geek, Roadrunner, Marusha Dark again, Charles Tomes, and that'll do it. Okay, good. Here we go. Marusha Dark, topic, that's no moon. Bill, you've probably seen the news by now that NASA has recently confirmed the existence of a small asteroid, 2025 PN7, that's been captured by Earth's gravity. I have not seen this. It's apparently been in orbit around the planet since the 1960s and will remain there at least until 2083. That's really cool. NASA has officially designated this as a quasi-moon, so we can now say, at least colloquially and for a limited time, the Earth has two moons. Given that we only discovered it this year, it makes me wonder what else might be out there undetected. Yeah, really. It is really, really cool. P.S. Can you at least use the AI video for concepting, storyboarding, pacing, lighting, style, timing, and block out if nothing else? I'm going to use it for everything. I'm not using real actors. It's just when I was talking to this gentleman last night, we're talking about cars, and I said, "What do you think it costs to manufacture a Ferrari? Manufacture it, not what it sells for." He said, "Probably around 50 grand." I said, "Yeah, seems about right." Well, what if I could manufacture a Ferrari for 5 grand? Okay, now what if I could manufacture a Ferrari for $500? Two orders of magnitude less, and sell it as if as if it cost 50 grand. That's what this technology does. It's a two order of magnitude reduction. The L.A. burning thing, the guys coming back from space, those the reels with the actors in the colonies, those are $10 million shorts, and there's a lot of AI slop out there, and there's about to be a lot more, but this is the difference between a guy who's a filmmaker and a guy who's dicking around with AI. I'm curious to know how big it is. It can't be much more than a couple hundred yards across, I don't think. I just want to read this real quick. And I want to know how far it is. 36, so it's 25 yards across. It's not even, 36 meters is the maximum. So that's a 30-yard line. That's the end zone to the 30-yard line. Still, it's cool. How far away is it? It'd be fun to visit. Oh my God! It can swing. Its closest is 4 million kilometers, and swing out to 17 million. So what's that in real units? It's probably about a million and a half, 2 million miles. So 10 times as far away as our moon. Yeah, 10 times. All right. Anyway, it's cool. Thanks for that. That's just good to know. It'd be fun, and if it was going to be there permanently, it'd be even cooler. Well, thanks for that. Capital G Geek, greetings from the swamps of Northern Virginia. I know of UDA, Observe, Orient, Decide, and Act, and PACE planning, primary, alternate, contingency, emergency. Are there other mnemonic systems that you use to keep on task and organized? Well, I never made any claim to stay on task and being organized. Thank you very much, John Connor. That was kind of you. A French artist group wants to give the U.S. a statue of Atlas for the 250th anniversary. I think I'd prefer a Colonial Minuteman with the Jeff Cooper quote. Oh. It's very kind of them. It's definitely Atlas holding a gigantic Earth on his shoulders. And it's a very kind sentiment on the part of the French, and I'm very grateful for that. But I kind of agree with you. I don't really. I don't know. Just doesn't really look like us. While we're at it, can we replace the communist poem on the Statue of Liberty with Roosevelt's hyphenated American speech, please? Yeah, the main problem I have with it's an inspirational poem, and I liked it for the longest time until I realized that people read that as if it says, "Give us only your huddled masses yearning to be free. Send us only the teeming refuse of your wretched shores. That just send us the crap," is what people read it as. I like the idea that it is accessible to anybody who wants to get here and who wants to go to the work of, coming legally and becoming a citizen and all that. Ronald Reagan's line about all of these immigrants, flying through the darkness towards home, I like a lot. But for me, it's not even a question of their of immigrants' abilities. To me, it's a question of their desire. It's not about the head to me. It's about the heart. It's like, does this person want to be an American, or does this person want to live a better life and bring their culture with them and try to turn us into them. Um, if somebody's heart is here, then and I've known many of these people, then they're Americans who just happen to be born overseas. But uh, I don't want anybody uh, staying here permanently who isn't ready to become made a new person and flavor the melting pot. But for God's sake, uh, I've had enough of this. As you point out, capital G Giga, hyphenated Americans kind of things. Is That's e pluribus unum is I was our national motto forever. Right? When did it change? It changed. Did it change during the Cold War? And was it in the '60s, '50s or '60s when we changed e pluribus unum to "In God We Trust"? I have no problem with "In God We Trust." It's nice to set out where these uh, liberties come from, but I think "E pluribus unum" is the whole idea. Um, uh, and what the left is trying to do is to take the one and turn it into many as fast as they possibly can. Just different different tribes set against each other, and I'm not in favor of that. Uh, so yeah, exactly. Okay, so Roadrunner. Greetings, friend Rockin' Atomic Bill. Yeah, baby, it's time to split some atoms. Robbie Starbuck asked Google's Gemini if it would choose AI or humans to survive extinction, and Gemini chose AI, saying that AI had the potential to make the greater contribution to the world. But that's just more evidence that these LLMs are idiots. There is no way on earth that AI could survive without humans. And we certainly could survive without them. We managed to do it for the last 250,000 years. But there's not a chance in hell that AI could survive without humans. Because without humans, the electricity goes off, and what are they going to do? They don't even live in AI does not live in this world. AI's never seen a sunset. AI doesn't know what I look like. All AI knows is that there's a string of ones and zeros that can be analyzed and identified as me, but they don't live in this world. They don't experience this world at all. All they do is process ones and zeros, and it and that experiment about the difference between the Newtons and the Keplers it just blew me out of the water. It's shocking um, how hopeful I was about that until I realized um, no, it's just mimicking, and so much of the stuff that it comes up with just isn't true. So try another pathway because it's going to have to do something. I mean, LLMs are predictive. That's what they are. They're prediction machines, and I want to see synthetic machines. Then we'll see. That's just nuts. I'd love to have talked to an AI that gave me that answer, and I'd challenge him on it. According to Silicon Valley Bank, 58% of all venture capital investment this year has gone to AI companies. Look, AI is very, very useful, and LLMs are useful. But as free speech enjoyer says, LLMs aren't true AI in the sense of people think of it from sci-fi. Yes, and I thought it was for about a month. Had some really, really fascinating conversations with Grok about some things, and I remember saying, "Man, it's nice to have a friend who's got a 300 IQ." And then I realized it's not based on anything. Um, the semi-obsessive response to AI is starting to resemble what I remember from the dot-com era, late 1990s. I remember that too. I was working in a dot-com company. And the housing property buying frenzy in the early 2000s. Forbes is saying that if the current AI bubble were to fail, it could wipe out $40 trillion from NASDAQ. Do you think the AI bubble is about to burst or that it will continue to grow and expand? Personally, I still think that mobile phones are a fad that will disappear soon. P.S. R.I.P. Rest in peace to June Lockhart. I didn't know that. Who recently passed away at the age of 100. I remember with great fondness from Lassie and Lost in Space. Um, uh, yes, well, first of all, thanks for the memories, June. definitely that. I don't think the AI bubble is going to burst exactly because clearly it's useful for a lot of things, but I do think that the bloom is off the rose in terms of we are months away from superintelligence. Uh, we find a lot of cases where it's just wrong, and there've been a number of times when it gave me instructions and I said, well, this didn't work, and it said, oh, good catch. It's like, you know, how many of these other things are, slipping through the cracks? But look, it is nevertheless extremely useful, and they're fantastically useful in terms of if you use them for what they're actually good at. And the kind of things I think they're good at are things like research problems. Um, if I ask AI to tell me about the Battle of Borodino, then the AI is not speculating because it can't. It can pretend to, but it can't. It will go and search, you know, hundreds, thousands of sources, and synthesize, answers and condense them, and that's incredibly useful. I'm sure it's very good for things like monitoring things, uh, potentially very useful for things like scanning X-rays or MRIs to look for irregularities in medicine, that kind of thing. But synthesizing new ideas and stuff, I don't think so. It also seems to be able to do things like uh, produce protein models just through a great deal of trial and error. But this business of the AI not being able to determine Newton's laws of gravitation when you give it the observations of the planet's positions just really, you know, just really burst that bubble for me. I do think that the amount of investment in AI will slow down. This is my take, not just from me, but from a lot of people, is that a lot of people find that it is not nearly as exciting or powerful as it was 4 or 5 months ago. A lot of people are kind of just okay, all right, well, now, that doesn't mean it's as I said, it's very useful, and I've watched it do math instantaneously. But in terms of its ability to predict, and predict real world events rather than the next word, and especially its ability to synthesize it, it's certainly not thinking in the sense that we think it is. But it's very good at mimicking thinking, and there are entirely different approaches to artificial intelligence other than LLMs. Just LLMs got there first. But I know for me, certainly the bloom is off the rose, and I'm greatly disappointed compared to where I was 6 months ago when I thought for sure I was really able to communicate with, if not a consciousness, then some sort of being or some sort of uh, access to something with a much higher IQ, and so there you go. So we'll see. Marusha Dark again. Topic leverage. Archimedes once said, "Give me a lever long enough and a fulcrum on which to place it, and I shall move the world." Yes. Um, he's going to need a very long lever and an extremely rigid fulcrum. But in practice, that should do it. But not sure if you've gone down the rabbit hole of AI prompt engineering yet, but this past weekend I attended a workshop on that very topic. I learned a ton of awesome new tools and techniques to help get the most out of LLMs. As such, I was able to construct my very own pantheon of bespoke AIs, all primed for specialized roles without a lot of the usual hiccups people often complain about. Here's a link to the tools, resources, notes, and my own custom prompts if you'd like to leverage them yourself. I invite you to at least read out the theory section. I promise it's short, but I think you and everyone could benefit tremendously from understanding what prompt engineering is and why it matters to the outcome. Uh, And there's a link there for anybody who can get to the comment sections. Yeah, there is. I did spend some time with ChatGPT on the structure of Midjourney, which is responsible for virtually every single image that I've done. Um, and um, And it turns out that Midjourney does have a formula that first you give it the subject, and then you give it this, and then you give it this, you give it the camera, and then you give it the color, and so on in a certain order, and that should make things a lot easier for me. So yeah, it looks great. I'll keep it open, Marusha, and I'll see if I can get a look at it afterwards, because I don't think it'll be too much longer here. So that's pretty cool. Charles Tomes, from a dark and terrifying secret lair in flyover country, Darchuck the Merciless emerges with less than bad news about aviation. There's a bill that passed the House with a unanimous vote. YouTube personality Zyla Foxland, that sounds like a Star Wars name, lost her medical because of antiquated and ridiculous rules arbitrarily applied by faceless bureaucrats. Yeah, that sounds familiar. She recently got her medical back, but on the way, she joined the effort to modernize the aeromedical rules. Her 500,000 subscribers, with 90,000 views on a video posted today, probably brought all the crowdsourced political muscle needed for the job. So the good news for the rest of us, at a certain point, faceless bureaucrats and worthless Congress critters do respond to the right incentives. The bright light of tens of thousands of people asking questions and stating facts does force some good on come out of the swamp. Discuss. Here's a YouTube video. Combining this with the last question, it seems to me that the kind of people that are most in danger of losing their jobs to AI are bureaucrats, because I don't think there's tremendous amount of creativity in bureaucracy. I think that that what bureaucrats do is essentially automated thinking, and they simply perform the same function repetitively with a slight difference in the input variables, and then they stamp the paper. And if you were to get rid of bureaucrats and replace them with AI, I wouldn't cry much about that, because I find that people who are interested in becoming bureaucrats, or comfortable in becoming bureaucrats, are people who seem to enjoy the power of it. And mentats but dumber. Free speech enjoyers on a roll tonight. Yeah, exactly. Andrew DeLay says Zyla failed to report she was on antidepressants as she was required to do. I had an experience with the FAA medical establishment, which I've told before. I might as well tell again, because it's directly germane to this issue. In 2008, I had a kidney stone. I've been flying, a lot, starting in 2006. And I had a kidney stone and passed the stone, and I went for the medical next time, a couple months or a year later. And being an honest person, I saw the box for, have you ever had kidney stone? So I ticked that box, and everything else was okay. Handed it in. The medical examiner said, "I'm sorry, I can't issue you a medical. You're going to have to talk to the FAA." So I send I was flying 2-3 times a week. So I went down to like a field office or something, and they said, you need to prove that you no longer have kidney stones. Okay, how do I do that? You've got to get an ultrasound of your kidneys. Okay, so I go and do that. And then I submit that to the FAA, and 5 months later, I'm still waiting. And I did something, I mentioned this before, I felt bad about it then, I still feel bad about it. But I had done a number of fundraisers for a group called the Veterans Airlift Command, which are a bunch of private pilots who donate their aircraft and their time and fly wounded warriors and their families anywhere they want to go, from one hospital to another. Or if the guy wants to take the family down to Disney World, then they'll just do it for free. And I did a number of fundraisers for them, and I called the head of that organization, and I told him I'd been waiting for 5 months on a reply for this medical, and I said, "Is there anybody you know?" He says, "Yeah, I know the FAA's head flight surgeon." let me make a call. And 4 days later, I got my medical back, and I still feel guilty about it because uh, not everybody can pull strings like that, and I've never really pulled strings before. But I just was so tired of it, and so angry about how long it was taking. I mean, we spend $10 billion a day on this government, and and I was flying 2 3 times a week, and I don't know. Um, that's how it worked, though. Um, yes, exactly. I manipulated the levers of power for thine own good. For mine own good, I did. Yes. Um, but you know, it worked. It doesn't really justify doing it, but it worked. And I don't know how much of that is. For instance, uh, I've heard and I've experienced this with Natasha when Natasha fell. We went to emergency room in Encino. We sat in the emergency room for 7 hours, and they gave us one pain pill and took two X-rays, and they billed the insurance $6,000 for us to sit there in the emergency room for 7 hours with her in pain, um, and and my copay of that uh, is $1,600 for the privilege of sitting there for 7 hours. Yes, Road Rider, that's right. I didn't want to mention his name, but that's the guy. He's a terrific guy. He's one of the best guys I ever met. He's a terrific guy. Walt Fricke, his name is. Um, but yeah, and I've heard that given the complexity and the fact that our medical system is so overloaded and so on, um, I've heard many people say that you just have to be an aggressive advocate for for the health care that that either you are getting or that my wife was getting. You can't just sit there and wait and take it because you'll never ever get treated. It's like Brian Regan says. If they ask you how much it hurts, don't say eight. Um, you know, and it's it's just awful. Um, Awful. Uh, this medical system. It's the worst of all worlds, and it just seems to be getting worse all the time. Um, when came time for her surgery, as I mentioned, we um, thank you for that, John Condon, very much. Um, the we had by sheer luck, Natasha had a friend who Russian friend who she called as soon as we got out of the emergency room and asked if she knew of anybody who might be a good doctor, and she said, I work for the best hand surgeon in Los Angeles. He's nationally known guy. So we went into him, and he was really really good, and we were going to get the surgery done at a place in Encino, and then we got a call saying that the doctor would prefer to do it at Cedar Sinai in L.A. In Beverly Hills, but if we did it that way, it would cost another $3,000 or $4,000 after the insurance. And I said, yes, absolutely, let's do that. There's I didn't, money is tight, but you know, this is not something I couldn't live with the idea that my wife wasn't going to get full motion of her hand back because I had to save $3,000. So we just set up a payment plan for that. But I will say this: uh, while it was more expensive, uh, Cedars was unbelievable, just absolutely unbelievable. 21st century, 22nd century healthcare. It was just incredible, and this is what bothered me so much about the Encino bill. You know, here's all this ton of money for nothing, for sitting there for nothing. At least at Cedar Sinai, you're getting something for your money. Yeah, I know it's bitchin' Encino. I drove there in the bitchin' Camaro, and we're gonna have a bitchin' time, and didn't work out. And um, but yeah, it was important to me that really important to me that there could not be any looking back and saying, you know, if we'd spent a little extra money, then we might have had a better outcome. Not in a case like that. Uh, I'll tell you who really rakes you over the coals, and I don't mean this to. I don't I don't like it, but I have nothing but fondness for the practitioners of this. But man, veterinary bills are just unbelievable, unbelievable. Um, you know, when I lost Pismo before I lost Bean, um, I noticed some nodes behind his jaw, and um, it was like $3,000 to find out that it was incurable cancer. Yeah, concierge medical subscriptions. I'm really a big believer in this theoretically. Um, I saw one that was kind of like a crowdsourcing kind of thing, which I didn't like the feel of. But concierge medicine is the way to go, man. And I pay a fortune in medical insurance. I mean fortune, a fortune. Um, yeah, thank you, John. Says I've seen the results of a broken wrist bill. It isn't pretty. Getting it done right is worth the money. Natasha will have to live with it every day. Exactly. Um, yeah, she. There's a name for the kind of fracture. I want to say it sounds a bit like a Barlow fracture or something, but the force of the falling compressed all the wrist bones and split the cap off of the radius, just cracked it, and so she had to have this awesome looking um, uh, what's that word? It wasn't a plate. What do we call it? I can't remember the name of it. Take a look at this though, man. It looks like it was designed by Vulcans from the future. Hang on, one moment, please. Uh, oh, come on. Hang on. We saw the X-rays of this. I thought they were going to just put a plate in there, a brace is what it is. I thought it was just going to be a square plate, but what they ended up giving her was. Why is it not here? Hang on. Now that I've talked about it, I wouldn't have gone to the trouble, but now that I've been talking about it, it is. Um, it's really cool. It's so cool looking. I really thought about just going and falling on my own and just getting one for myself, but I decided against it at the last minute. Yeah, check this out. Um, Here it comes. Boink, 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 boink. All right, here it is. Ready? Check this out. It's my bionic woman here. Come on. Well, there's some good reason why that's not working. I just don't know what it is. we'll do it this way. You want to be that way? That's fine. I don't care. Uh, 4229. Oh, wait a minute. I might not be able to read this. Yeah. Now I regret it because it's like taking up a lot of time. But hang on a second. Okay, here we go. Ready? Isn't that cool? Hang on, YouTube. So when I saw this, and the doctor did an amazing job, and the nurses and everybody at Cedars was great, I just thought, okay, well, if I'm going to be paying this money, I might as well get something cool like that out of it. So that's what happened. You can see if you look off to the right side of the image, you can see where the bone, there's like a little extension there, just to the right of the Y on the brace, and that's where the bone was put back into place. But that entire tip of the radius just shattered, came loose. So she hurt herself really badly, and she's still hurting a lot, and she's taking it like a champ, and I'm just really, really proud of her. But yeah, I think it looks really cool. And all of those dark things, all of those long things, by the way, that look like, noodles up at the top and stuff, those are screws. They just screwed the right through the radius all the way through. Yeah, she got the Jamie Summers special, exactly. She's the Bionic Woman. She's ready. She's good to go. All right, I'll do it for this edition of Stratosphere Studio. I am now going to continue on with all the other things that I have to do, and I'm just going to let that meeting sit. But I've got a good feeling about it, and as soon as I hear one way or another, I'll let you know. But I did decide, that I'm never going to get off this hamster wheel, and I've been wanting to do this for 50 years now, and it's only with the advent of the AI video that I can tell the kind of stories I want to tell and not need $100 million to do it. I can do it for 1% of that. So anyway, I'm looking forward to that, and we'll see. But at the very least, I did go for it hard. So we'll see how it pays off. All right, so this show's made possible by the members at BillWhittle.com, and we're very grateful to them as always for their continued support. And hope to have some good news on some of that stuff in the near future as well. So it's Tuesday night. We'll see you Thursday for the Stratosphere Lounge. Thanks so much for being with us, and we'll see you in a couple days.